The EFL Championship is not too far away, and therefore today I'm going to be giving you my predictions for the 24-25 Championship season. First up, it can be no one else than Scott Parker's Burnley side. Enough said, lads. It's Burnley. They've got a brilliant squad. They've got a lot of money behind them. They may sell one or two more players, but even then, the squad is so stacked that we don't need to say any more. Burnley are winning the league with Scott Parker next season. Absolutely zero bias in there at all. Just pure delusion. Second off, we've got Leeds United. Now, I am stuck between them and another team who I will mention for the third place spot, but I believe that Leeds United just about have enough to be the team that will finish in the automatic spot. This Leeds squad is absolutely ridiculous, and I think, to be fair, with them, even if they do sell Nonto and Somerville, similar to Burnley, with the likes of Sander Berge and Wilson Odobert, they've still got players like Ruta who are just top class in this kind of level, and I really think that Leeds will be in a proper title race with Burnley until the last couple of games, and it will be a very tight kind of finish for who wins the league and who finished second. Then in third, the team that, to be fair, I think could still manage to get themselves an automatic spot. It's kind of between them and Leeds, me for second or third, but I think it's going to be Luton that do just about miss out on the automatic spot and finish in third place. They have a brilliant manager, a pragmatic play style, and still some real talent left in that squad, like Carlton Morris, who will score a lot of goals. Kaminsky will probably be one of the best keepers in the Championship next season, and although they've lost Ross Barkley, I still think that squad is really promising. And if Luton are to try and bounce back to the Premier League, which I think last summer kind of set them out to do so with the likes of Tahith Chong and players like that, then I think Luton should be and likely will be around the automatic promotion talk. Then in fourth place, I'm going with Coventry, finishing just below Luton but ahead of obviously the other teams in the Championship, and I think Coventry have been building for a good few seasons now. They've managed to build themselves a pretty promising squad, although they lost Victor Gyökeres not too long ago, and alongside that also lost Gustavo Harmer. I still think that they've invested absolutely phenomenally, and if you look back to the past few seasons, they've been slowly building. They've signed players like Bobby Thomas, who have proved themselves to be solid centre-halves at this level. They've also then brought in players like Haji Wright, Ellis Sims, Sakamoto, who I'm incredibly excited for next season. They've got some top level strikers for this level, and they've proven that on their day they can slay the biggest of giants, as they beat obviously as they obviously beat Wolves in the FA Cup. I think Coventry could be an outside shout to get themselves to the top end of the Championship. Then coming in fifth place, the team that we've already made a video on literally last week, so I will pop that up. If you want to check that video out, then please go on the channel after this one and check that one out. Sheffield United in fifth place. It's a little bit of a gap holder because I potentially think they could easily push on. They could easily see themselves competing with the Lutons, the Leeds, the Burnleys in this division. However, just right now at the current moment in time, I believe they're not quite automatic contention worthy, but with so much of this transfer window left and already some brilliant signings like Kiefer Moore, like Callum O'Hare and a few others, and also the likes of Ollie Arblaster in midfield, this squad has potential to be a real force in the Championship. And as I said, we've got so much long of the window just left to go. I think Sheffield United could be a real threat. However, as of right now, and if this squad kind of stays as it is right now, fifth place would be a solid season for Sheffield United. I don't want to get any Sheffield United or Sheffield Wednesday fans coming at us for saying Sheffield. I really apologise. Then coming in at sixth place, I kind of have a similar thing to what I said about Sheffield United. We've got West Brom. They've had a takeover coming in. They've had a few different things going on in kind of the backgrounds of the club, which could potentially affect this season. However, I think at the current moment, sixth place with Carlos Corberán as the gaffer could be a solid season. However, as I said with the takeover, I think that they could potentially push on, but I just think there's so many strong squads in this division that as of right now, I can't see Corberán, despite his magic, taking them any further than that sixth place spot. I mean, they could still have a really good positive end to the window, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do. But as of right now, as I've already said, the squads in this division are so strong. It will be a big task for West Brom to jump up to get an automatic promotion. However, in maybe 1, maybe 2 seasons time, West Brom will be some serious gladiators in the Championship. Then in 7th place, I've got my little surprise package. Maybe not a surprise for some of you, but I know a few of my subscribers support them. We've got Sunderland AFC. I think they will finish 7th. I think they've kind of gone back down to the right route of their project, gotten a more progressive manager, and also making the signings that they should have been making last summer. They've brought in a fair bit of experience. They're trying to sign a recognised striker who scores goals. We've had Hamia last season, scored none. Mason Burstow, enough said about him. And I think Sunderland now are making the right steps in order for them to kind of get themselves into the Premier League. I'm really positive about them going into next season, could potentially sneak themselves into a playoff spot. And I think 7th place, again, would be a really nice season for them. But as I said, could they potentially get themselves in a cheeky playoff final? Who knows? Then in 8th, we're not travelling too far away from Sunderland. I've gone with Middlesbrough here. I think Michael Carrick is the gaffer, and the fact they've managed to keep a hold of him and get him on a new contract is absolutely massive for Borough. And also, I think when you look at the squad, it's actually really nice. You've got Azaz in there. You've still got Hayden Hackney. Some really nice midfield partnerships going on there with also a solid attack. However, as I mentioned with West Brom, there's a lot of strong sides going to be in this division next season with some really good depth and good starting 11s. I think Borough, again, maybe just 1 or 2 seasons short of pushing for an automatic promotion place. Moving into 9th place, I'm going with Hull City. Now, I am a big fan of them. I've been a big fan of them, well, since the start of last season, really, when they had Liam Rosenior. Obviously, sacked him off because he did, let's be honest, he did fail last season by not getting them into them playoffs. However, although they've lost the likes of Jacob Greaves and Jayden Philogene as well, and also Liam Delap obviously leaving because he was only on loan, I still think Hull will be a decent side next season. They've got a lot of money still behind them, on top of the fact they've managed to sell Philogene Badace back to Aston Villa and also sold Jacob Greaves to Ipswich Town. I think they will still spend very wisely. Need a new goalkeeper in probably. He's not performed too well in pre-season, and last season I think their biggest fall off was because they didn't have a really solid goalkeeper. 9th place finish is kind of where I see them. I think they'll have a good start, look like they could get playoffs, but similar to last season, drop off at the final hurdle. Now that leads us on to 10th place, the final team in the top 10 of the Championship in the 2024-25 season. And I guess you could potentially say this is another surprise package, but with the way the end of last season went, I think a lot of teams could imagine Sheffield Wednesday having a really good next season under Danny Rule. They're going to be pushing on from what was a really good half a season next season, and I think potentially they could look to squeeze into that top 10. They've had a solid window, recruited fairly well, and I think Sheffield Wednesday, you know what? The good vibes. They're a big club. They've got a good manager who's not just pragmatic, but also exciting at the same time. He thinks things out, he has a good defensive setup when needed, but also he's not scared of playing that nice football that we all love to see. So I think for me, 10th place, another really positive season for Sheffield Wednesday. This is now where we get the boring finishes, the really generic ones. 11th, 12th, 13th and 14th. You get the kind of the same people are always there. However, we have one outlier who I think could push themselves into a fairly high finish, similar to Sheffield Wednesday. Had a really nice half a season. I'm going with Norwich in 11th. I know people may think they could be higher, but then in 12th, we've got the outlier. QPR under Marty Cifuentes to push themselves into 12th place. Again, potentially could be higher, but as I've already mentioned, I think this Championship season is going to be really strong in terms of quality, and I think QPR finishing in 12th is a nice standing point for them to be, to push on in the coming years. It's a good squad, I guess. They've then also got a really good manager who, to be honest, I'm really surprised didn't end up going to Burnley or a Sunderland or someone like that. But Cifuentes at the wheel, you're always going to be in a good position. QPR in 12th, Norwich in 11th. Solid seasons for them both. Then we want a 13th and 14th, and just have a guess who you think is going to be there. Preston and Cardiff. They're the two teams. Are we expecting much different? Enough said. Preston and Cardiff are going to be finishing in 13th and 14th. Then in 15th, yet again, we have another usual suspect, another generic finish. I'm sorry, lads, I'm not going to be dropping any more groundbreaking takes. Bristol City in 15th. Then we've got another boring one, Swansea City in 16th. I don't mind what they're doing. I really like the manager. I loved him when he was at Notts County. However, again, I just think the same thing is, the squad is so good, and similar to Bristol City, I know I didn't mention it before, but similar to Bristol City, they could potentially push maybe 1-2 places higher, but it's always going to be around that 12th to 16th spot for your likes of Preston, Cardiff, Bristol and Swansea. They're just boring, lads. 17th, Stoke City. I don't care what they do. I don't care who they bring in. I don't care who's the manager. They always recruit well. They usually appoint fairly proven managers at the Championship level, yet they always do pretty poorly. And 17th, they're going to be taking a visit at 17th yet again. 18th, though, is where we change things up a little bit. Going at this summer window, for some reason, I'm not going to say I'm a big fan of Watford, but for some reason I thought Watford could potentially push on. However, from things that I've read, and I'll admit I'm not the biggest Watford watcher, however, from stuff that I've read, I believe that they're not doing too well off the pitch. They've got a new manager who's, you know, not proven much, and I just think they could struggle next season. The recruitment from, again, what I've read, hasn't been amazing. They're not looking too good off the pitch, and we know Watford, they love to sign a new manager, sack him after 4 months, get a new one, sack him after 4 months, and when you've got a manager coming in who hasn't really proven much, and he's going to take time to get used to the job, you're going to struggle. So I think Watford at 18th is pretty fair. Then at 19th, we have Plymouth Argyle. Geared up, Pieface, you're staying up. Oh, let's go, that's class! I think if they especially keep Morgan Whittaker, they're absolutely laughing. I know they stayed up by the skin of their teeth last season, but I believe that the quality coming up and the things that have kind of happened to other Championship clubs may mean that they stay up a little bit more comfortably, this much more comfortably, but still a little bit better than last season. And I think Morgan Whittaker staying, if he stays come the end of the window, I know we've still got a lot of time left, but I believe he probably will still be here by the first game of the season. Whittaker could be the massive difference. 20th, we've got Millwall. I think they've kind of been on a bit of decline for the last few seasons, and although they're not great, they've still got that pragmatic approach. It's still Millwall, and they just seem to find a way. That's what Millwall are about. They find a way every single time. I think they'll still have enough to just about escape being relegated, and they've still got some good quality. You got Fleming in there, players like that. I think they've still got enough to not be dragged into that bottom 3, but could spend a little bit of the season potentially looking at League One for a little bit. But I think Millwall, for me, have just about enough. Then 21st, this is literally, I know I've said it before, but this is squeaky bum time. This is the real skin of the teeth survival. And I've gone with Portsmouth. I think I'm a big fan of John Mousinho and the football that they've played last season, and although it may not translate amazingly to this season, obviously stepping up from the League One to the Championship, I think they've got enough in them to stay up. Only just, but the squad is very much so together. We saw what Ipswich did last season with a together squad, and I think in the Championship a lot of football is about how physically able you are, how together you are, the heart you have to fight through so many games that you've got to play, and I think Portsmouth will very much so just survive next season. And that is only because our 22nd place are truly awful on and off the pitch. This is no bias at all. Blackburn Rovers are finally getting booted out of the English second tier and back to where they belong in League One. Smodic's leaving is an absolute travesty for them. And I'm going to put the bias aside, obviously being a Burnley fan. I'm going to put that to the side for a second, because Blackburn are on a real mess. The owners are shambolic, and as much as I love to see it being a Burnley fan, it's awful. When you look at it as more of a neutral perspective or from a Blackburn perspective, their owners are running this club into the ground. One of the English giants are being run into the ground. I know they always seem to pull someone from absolutely nowhere that just scores them enough goals to keep them up, but I just can't see it. You've probably got Dolan being their best player once Smodic goes potentially, or at least their best forward, but I cannot see him grabbing upwards of 20 goals like Smodic did. And if he leaves for something like 8 to 15 million, it's not going to be pumped back into the squad. They're not going to recruit too much. And as much as John Eustace is a good Championship manager, I just don't think he's going to be able to keep this side in the Championship. And I think they're going to see themselves go down on the last day, potentially, with Portsmouth winning and them losing, something like that. I think Blackburn will be in League One the season after next. 23rd, we've got Derby County. Yeah, we've got Derby County. I think that's enough. 24th, Oxford. And once again, I think that's enough said. So, ladies and gents, if you have enjoyed today's video, drop in my predictions on what I think the 24-25 Championship season will look like come the end of that season. Then please do leave a like and subscribe. Let me know if I've got things wrong, because knowing me, I absolutely hate these videos because I always do something wrong. So let me know what I got wrong, because again, I definitely got something bang out of order. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.